Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Wednesday, March 2nd. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I've seen it brought up a few times in different groups and stuff. And it all comes back to how long you hold on to a customer's machine once it's paid or once it's fixed and you're waiting on payment. What happens from that point on? So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, March 2nd, 2025. So, what's the conversation today? The conversation today is we all that have shops run into this, and that is we get the machine done, and customer is notified, and there it sits. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Alright? There's a couple different things that play out in that scenario. And the first thing is you always want to have everything posted so that it's in cement. And what do I mean by that? I mean if you have you got to check with the state and local laws too. But for most of the states, if you post that after a certain amount of time, let's say a week or 2 weeks, they're going to start incurring a storage fee. And this is really important to you guys that have limited space to where you can park the machine out of the way, right? But you need to have it posted. And when I say posted, I mean up on the wall so the customers can easily see it when they come in. And you can also have a blip on your invoice that they get stating after a certain day it's so much a day, and after so many days it becomes the property of the shop to do as they wish, whether they want to sell the parts off it or to sell the whole unit. That is left up to you as a shop owner. But communicating that is probably paramount. And what ends up happening is we do it as well. On the customers that I have pretty good faith and trust in, I will take their unit back and drop it off with the bill attached to it. And in those cases, you're relying on trust. You're trusting that customer that they will take that invoice and they will send you a check or stop in and pay you, right? But there are cases of where even they take and don't pay you. And I've heard different ones say, well, you need to go pick up that lawnmower. You can't. First, you're on private property. Second, it's theft if you take it from them. You can go to a small claims court and file a judgment against it, but most times it costs more money to do the judgment and it never gets paid than it is to go after the person in the first place. So what we do at the shop here, and I'm pretty liberal when it comes to giving people more time. I understand the economy's tough. But once you give up that collateral, their lawnmower, that takes away the necessity of having to get it paid quickly. And what do I mean by that? I mean they've got their lawnmower back. It's running great, more blades, new, the whole shebang. And now they're mowing with it. Some of them you aren't going to see until they need it done again. And I've got bills from last year that customers never paid. And I leave them right there in plain sight. So if someone brings a machine in to Claude or I, depending on who's there or both of us are there, we look at the sheets. Did you pay last year? And that's where Claude and I play good cop, bad cop. I'm, of course, the good cop. Claude's the bad cop. He don't give a rat's ass. He'll come right out and say, look, you didn't pay last year's bill. You need to pay that up before we even look at this year's. Look at it this year. And they'll say, oh, I thought we paid it last year. Nope. never paid. And then I'll step in and say, yeah, that happens, blah, blah, blah. And either they pay or they take the machine home. As Claude says, we don't work for free. We do a numerous pro bonos for the older people, but that's it. Most of the customers that I have problems with have the money to pay. And that's probably why they have the money to pay, is that they aren't paying people. But that brings us back to, all right, so the one thing is if you release it and drop it back off with them and they don't pay, they don't have the necessity of where they need to pay so they can get their grass cut. But the ones that you really can't trust or you don't know and have no track record with, my suggestion is don't let that mower go until that customer has come in and paid for it. Because once you give up that collateral, you have nothing at this point other than a piece of paper. Now they can call the cops on you and have the cops show up and say you need to release that lawnmower to its owner. But as long as you can show a repair bill on it to the officers, good chances are that mower's not going anywhere. And I know that in some instances, I think with auto, they have a mechanic's lien, but you want everything spelled right out of this is what we did, this is the time we had on it. It's all got to be spelled out on the invoice. Now, what about the ones that show up and it's not worth fixing and you don't see them back for a while? Same deal. If there's a diagnostic fee, they can't just come rolling in to pick up their lawnmower and think, well, it was a free, not worth fixing card. No. You have to, this is all about dollars and cents, folks. You as a shop, you need the money coming in to pay the bills. No different than the person dropping off the mower needs a job to be able to pay their bills, right? And we all like to be the nice guy, but you can't always be that way. You have to lay the law down. Now, I'm not sure how much you see it in your area, but in our area, right around tax time, where a lot of the customers we have are getting refunds, and they'll come in and pay them. That's fine. But if you're listening to this and you're one of my customers or a customer of somebody else's, you need to be vocal with that shop. You need to tell me what's going on and stay in communication with me. Don't drop off the radar and avoid me. That's the worst thing you can do. If you owe somebody some money, don't avoid them. Go talk to them. Work out. I don't care if it's $10, $15 a week. Work something out with them. They will think a lot better of you, and you will think a lot better of yourself for taking care of business. But what happens if that lawnmower of yours gets sold? It happens. If a shop sits on it for so long and you're not communicating with the shop, with us, after so many days it becomes the property of the shops to do with what they wish. That might be selling it. We also need to step back and make sure that we're covering our bases, right? And that is, if you listen to some other videos that I have, I always say, if it's going to be a certain amount of money, you need to keep the customer involved. And that means calling them and letting them know that this is what the costs are. Do you want us to continue? And allow them the option of saying yay or nay. See, where I see a lot of shops end up is they don't call customers. They just go ahead and do the work. And next thing you know, you've got a push mower that sells new for $350 with a bill of $299 against it because it may have needed all that stuff. But without keeping the customer informed, especially when it's only another $51 to get a brand spanking new one, you may be stuck with a push mower. Same thing with riders. If you're not keeping that customer in the loop and allowing them a say on the bill instead of just presenting them one that has crazy numbers on it, that you don't like to be sideswiped either. It comes back to treating people the way you would hope to be treated, not the way you've been treated, the way you would hope to be treated. And I would hope that if I had a vehicle, lawnmower, whatever at a shop, if it was going to be a costly repair, I would like to have a say in it. Because I may have gotten to the point of, well, I can get one more year out of it if it's minor. But if it's major, I'm just going to step out and buy a new one. That one's over 10 years old and it's more than paid for itself. I'll pay for the diagnostic on it, and most times I'll ask the shop if they'll swap for the diagnostic fee. Go ahead and keep the unit. But that's communication. It's what I've been talking about for the last 2 days. If you don't communicate with your customer and all of a sudden they're hit with this crazy ass bill, a lot of them will balk. You won't get paid because you didn't keep the customer in the loop of what was coming down the pike, and that was an expensive repair bill. Especially this day and age, if you have to put on 3 blades, more blades, 2 new belts, one for the drive belt, one for the deck belt, and anything else that's maintenance can get up into the hundreds of dollars easy. So what we end up doing is we do a complete assessment on it of what it needs. I'll do up a bill, and then I'll call the customer and say, this is what we're looking at in just parts plus labor, and allow them to have a say in it. But I'm always on my customer's side of looking at that lawnmower like it's my own. And if I won't put it into my own, I sure in heck am not going to put it into a customer's unless it's something where they tell me it's sentimental value and they want it fixed so they can use it. It was dad's mower, but those are few and far between. We get that a lot with farm tractors, but we don't get too much with the mowers. So let me know in the comments. What are you guys doing at the shops? Do you have it posted where your customers can see it on the wall? Same thing with your hourly rate. You need to have that posted where customers can see it when they come into your shop. Be as transparent as possible. That's my best advice I can give to any of you. As long as you're transparent, you should do all right. Are you going to get a customer now and again that doesn't pay the bill? Yes. But if you don't have it posted and it's not on the invoice that after a certain period they start getting charged X number of dollars, you can't collect that. You can't unless it's transparent. It's written on the wall, on the invoice, and the customer knows that. So on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning.